Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic, and it's the first of the month, and that means that we have just launched on Patreon the new Sudoku hunt. It's by Riff Clown. It's called Interactions. It is gallery of Sudoku, but indeed the grids are all works of art in themselves, geometric works of art, perhaps more your Mondrian than Leonardo. Well, no, Leonardo is pretty hot on geometry as well, actually. More Mondrian than Géricault. Let's say that. Anyway, those are in Patreon. We do urge you to join us on Patreon. Also released yesterday the walkthrough solution videos for All the Fun of the Fair, the January rewards. So loads going on there. Check it out. It's always a great time to join us on Patreon, but particularly at the beginning of the month. And always a great time to buy our apps. A comment from Emily yesterday reminded me that the app I always forget is the Miracle Sudoku app with lots of non-consecutive constraints, which was what I was doing yesterday. I'm going to have to try and get that constraint out of my head today because it's not relevant at all. But that is the app I failed to mention, but it's quite a fun one, to be honest, amongst, well, they all are, but that is a good one. And I will try and remember to mention it if I ever run through the list of the types of apps we have. All Sudoku, of course, but all top quality puzzles, some of them by the world's best constructors, some of them just by ourselves. Anyway, today is, oh, well, there's also our merchant app and Sven SUDOKU PAD on the links under the video. So do check it all out, as well as your way to the Discord server, the catalogue of our puzzles. But the first link is to this puzzle by Skojo. It's called the Crustler building, and I get that now. I'm not sure I did when I opened it up, but it's a pun on the Chrysler building, which is a noted skyscraper, but it's bringing in the crusts of Sandwich Sudoku. So it's a mix between Sandwich and skyscrapers, but it's an intriguing mix. Not only are there no numbers in the grid, which is unusual for a classic Sudoku puzzle, say, there are no numbers outside the grid either, which is very unusual for a sandwich puzzle or a skyscraper puzzle. So let's do the rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply. 1 to 9 goes in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. Now the clues outside the grid, the question marks, are both sandwich and skyscraper clues. As a sandwich, the clue gives the sum of the digits between the 1 and the 9 in that row or column. So, I don't know, let's choose a column with not much going on. If that was a 1 and that was a 9 and these were 7 and 6, the sandwich clue for this column would be 13, and that would apply whether it was at the top or the bottom of the column. The skyscraper clues can be different at the top or the bottom. As a skyscraper, the clue represents how many digits. Let's just, I'm going to ignore the arrow and just fill in some digits in the column. As a skyscraper, the clue represents how many digits would be visible when standing at the clue, looking at its row or column, if each digit were a building with the height of its value. So you have to imagine these are all buildings. 9 is the highest, 8 is the next highest, then 7. You know, you can say it's 7 stories high or something. And then how many would you see, well, from this end, how many would you see? You would only see the 9 building because all the others would be hidden behind it. The sandwich clue would be 1 from that end of that column. From the other end, very different story. You would see the 2, the 3, the 5, the 8, and then the 9. The others would all be hidden behind the 8. So you would see 5 buildings and the sandwich clue would be 5. So that is how it works. Now, a question mark. Now, each of these question marks in their relative, from the end of their respective row or column, represents both a sandwich and a skyscraper clue. It's the same number, but we have to discover the numbers in each case. Digits along a thermometer must increase from the bulb to the tip, and digits on an arrow sum up to the digit in the arrow's circle. Normal enough there. It's just these crazy sandwich skyscraper clues that are off beam in this puzzle. Anyway, give it a try. I am going to start now. Let's get cracking. And when you've done this really quickly, you can get over to the Riff Clown on Patreon. Right, there must be something. I mean, it's very hard to know how to begin this. I could pencil mark these thermos, but even I'm not going to do that yet. Okay, I'll tell you what I am going to do is I'm going to mark cells that cannot be 1 or 9 in green. And those at the moment are just cells that are not at the tip or tail, tip or bulb of a thermo. It's good to mark those in green because the crusts, which I'll be trying to find in the sandwiches, I can then mark in red. And by crusts, I mean the numbers 1 and 9 in the respective rows and columns for which. Okay, I'm sorry. This is very obvious, and I did sort of notice it when doing the rules, but I didn't really think about it. It's every row and column that has these question marks, has them at both ends. Right, well, the sandwich clue at both ends is the same because the sandwich number doesn't differentiate between looking up or down. It's whatever's between the 1 and the 9 added together, same total. So the skyscraper clue must be the same from both ends. Now, there are a very limited number of numbers, if that's a phrase, that can be a skyscraper clue that's the same from both ends. You can't have a 1. If you had a 1 as a skyscraper clue at one end, say this end, that would be a 9. That's like the example. We only see one building. But that would require the 9 to be here as well. Otherwise, you'll see something that's here and then later the 9. So 1 is not possible. 5 is possible. 5 is the maximum that is possible. If you put 9 in the middle and built up to it from the bottom and up to it from the top, you would get a 5 in both things. So the question marks can only be 2, 3, 4, or 5 in each case because they are duplicated at both ends of the sandwich. Right. Now that is a very low sandwich total, and it's always 1 digit, except in the possible one case where a 5 clue could be the numbers 2 and 3 being sandwiched between the 1 and the 9. And that won't happen in these cases because, let's just imagine it here, where I was putting the 9 in the middle and building up to it from the bottom. Whichever side of the 9 the 1, 2 and 3 were going to appear, they would leave another gap because you have to ascend to the 9 all the way to make this bottom thing a 5. And that breaks that sandwich. So 5 is not possible. The question marks are all... No, 5 with 2 digits is not possible. It's still not possible in a 5 with a 1-digit sandwich. It would have to say 159 in that sequence and that consecutively. And that can't happen in a 5 skyscraper column because you've got other digits here. You're not going to be able to have a kind of ascent all the way up to the middle digit. So all of these question marks are 2, 3, or 4, and all of the sandwiches are 1 digit. Now, how am I going to use that, I ask you? I don't know the answer, but it's clearly very important. This column has a long thermo in it. Right. Okay, very interesting. Right. Okay, I'm going to make the point very quickly that the question marks can't be 0. That would be a perfectly acceptable sandwich clue, but it is not an acceptable skyscraper clue because you're always going to see at least one building. Now, in this column, we cannot put one of the 1 and 9 up here above these greens and the other one down here below them because the greens will not be just 1 digit of sandwich. We've only got 1 digit of sandwich, and that means we've either got our crusts here or here. And I don't know which, but it means I can colour those cells green. The crusts are either at the top or the bottom. If they're there, that's a 9 and that's a 1 because of the thermo. If they're here, that's a 9 and that's a 1. Now they're not up here. I can't put a 9 in that cell because the skyscraper clue above that would be a 1. And we can't have 1 on both ends. So there we go. The 9 and 1 are not there. They're at the bottom, down here. That must be a 9. That must be a 1. And we can now actually immediately tell what the skyscraper clue looking up is. It's a 3. We see that building, whatever this is, we see it. Then we see the 9, and we'll see nothing else. Therefore, we're seeing 3 buildings. The skyscraper clue is 3, and therefore we can put a 3 in there. The skyscraper clue from the top is also 3. So we don't have an 8 here, because that would limit it to 2. We're not going to see... We're not going to see any of the buildings on the thermo. No, I don't know that. I'm not sure. We're certainly not going to look at all the buildings on the thermo, because the clue would be much more than 3 then. I don't know. I am going to pencil mark this thermo now, though, with the possible digits that ascend. It could go 7, 8, 2, 4, 5, 6. I mean, I think there are multiple possibilities. I'm not sure, but that's my feeling. Now, this is not a row with a sandwich clue in it or skyscraper. Ah, but this can't be 9 anymore, and we can't have a 3 on the thermo. Okay, I'm going to pencil mark this now. 8, 7 or 6, 7, 6 or 5, 6, 5 or 4, 5, 4 or 2, 4, 2 or 1, I reckon. I think that's right. Oh, 9 must be in one of those cells. Actually, 1 must be in one of those 3. Now, can we apply the knowledge we've just learnt in some other row or column? We've got a 2-cell sandwich in each, a 1-cell sandwich in each row and column. They're always 2, 3 or 4. I'm not sure. That can't be a crust. Because if it was a 1, the sandwich clue would be at least 3. And if it was a 9, the sandwich clue would be the skyscraper clue, sorry, I meant both times. If it was a 1, the skyscraper clue would be at least 3. If it was a 9, the skyscraper clue would be 1. Oh, why can't it be a 1 then? Hang on. The skyscraper clue could be 3 or 4. Oh, it's because the skyscraper clue is 1 long, and that literally can't be a 3 because of that. That's why. I was right. Oh, but the skyscraper clue could be a 4. So could this go 1, 4, 9? No, because then the skyscraper clue would have to be a 3. So it can't be a crust. That's really weird to work out. I don't know why. Now, I want to say this can't be a crust either. And I'm confident that's right. I just need to prove it now. If that was a crust, it would have to be a 9. This would have to be the 1-digit sum, and this would have to be a 1. So the 1-digit sum would have to be a 4. Oh, we can't put a 9 here because the skyscraper clue would be a 1. I mean, it's very obvious when you finally remember the bits that you're trying to remember. Now, I bet the same is true here. Because we can't have a 139, that can't be a that can't be a... Oh, well, it can't be a 1 anyway. So it can't be a 9 because the skyscraper clue would be 1. This can't be 1 because it would put 9 on the arrow, and it can't be 9. Right, we are getting this done. Now, can that be a 1? Maybe it could be with a 2 or a 3 there and a 9 here. And it would have to be a 3 there and a 9 here. Yeah, it's very difficult to start from the edge. You can't have a crust there because you would need a 2, 3 or 4 here. In fact, if you had a crust on the edge, the skyscraper clue would always be exactly 1 or 3. Now I can't do it here because I can't use a 9 there and I can't put a 9 there. So that's not a crust either. So I am ruling out crust cells gradually, slowly, and probably painfully slowly. But now in this row, can that be a crust cell? It might be a 1. 3, 9. I think it can be a crust cell. What about this row? This is interesting. None of these can be a 9. So the 9 in the row is definitely in one of these cells. I'm looking at the arrow to determine that none of those can be a 9. So the 9 is always 2 cells away from the 1. Ah, that's interesting. The 1 can't be here, because that would be the 9. The makeup of the arrows would be 2, 3, 4, but the digit sandwiched has to be 2, 3, or 4, and they'd all be ruled out. That's quite amusing. So that can't be a 1. This can't be a 1 because it's not far enough away from where the 9 is. This can't be a 1 because it's on the circle. So the 1 is in one of these cells, but it's always exactly, there's one gap between the 1 and the 9. So this is not the 1, and this is not the 9. And we could even colour those green. So one of these is the single cell gap, is the single cell sandwich, and it's got to be here. It can't be here because that number has to be at least 6 for the arrow. So the sandwich gap is there. These are the crusts. That's green and not 9. This now is 9. We know this crust is 1. I don't know why I put 9 in there. I didn't mean to. This is 2, 3, or 4, depending on what the skyscraper turns out to be. Now, we've got a 9 here. Those are green, actually, so is that. The crust is either there or there. And the 2, 3, or 4 in this column is different from that one and is in one of these cells. Now, what does this complete with? Oh, that can't be a 4 anymore, or it would complete with another 4. So that completes with a 5 or a 6 there. Now, what are we looking at for the sandwich here? Don't know is the answer. 8 must be in one of those 2 cells in the row. No, that's not true. 8 could be on the end if that's a 2. Okay. One of these is the crust. No, is the sandwich. Ah, this column, right, that is now no longer able to be a 1. And that pushes up digits on the thermo a bit. This is now a 1-9 pair. That's weird. That might as well be green. Now, in this column, the 9 is either there or there. Well, it's not there by Sudoku, so it's here. That's interesting. Okay, that is the sandwich, 2, 3, or 4. I could probably almost stop colouring now. No, let's do this row. This is very easy now. There's always a 1-cell sandwich, so there it is. This is a crust. Now I can take out all the colours because basically in all the rows and columns where there are sandwiches, I have identified the crusts. So I'm going to leave the red in while I just remember that these are important. That is 2, 3, or 4. Now we have to work out, right, we can't have a sandwich clue of more than 3 from this end. In fact, we know exactly what it is because the thermo tells us. Oh, that's beautiful. It tells us here as well. That digit is smaller than that digit by the thermo. So by the skyscraper rule, which I may keep calling the sandwich rule, sorry, the skyscraper rule, we're looking at 3 buildings from the top. So that's a 3. So that's not a 3. And in this row, that is taller than that. So now we're looking at a 2 because the 9 is always the highest building to be seen. That makes this a 3. That makes this building smaller than the 5 or 6. Oh, in fact, it's a 5 by maths. Oh, and that can't be a 4 by maths. Perfect, because then we'd have a 4 on the arrow tip. Oh, this is coming now. Okay. This is smaller than 5, so it's 2 or 4. That's not 5. We've got 3 buildings from this end. We've only got 2 in this row. And that can't be a 2 anymore, I've just noticed. So 8 is at one end of this column, because otherwise it would become a second building being seen in its row. Oh, we've got a 2 in one of these cells. Wow, if the 2 is there, I think that has to be an 8 to hide all of those buildings. But if the 2 is there, then we're going to see one of these buildings after that one. I kind of think that has to be a 7 to make that work. Yeah, it does. That is a 7 or a 2, and this is a 2 or an 8. And that being right, let me just rethink that. I probably don't need to be doing anything this complex, but I'm quite interested in this now. Okay, I'm not sure. No, I am interested. Let's keep going. I can see something much quicker to do down here, but never mind about that. If this is a scene building, well, this is always a scene building. It's the first one. If 2 is here, then we're only going to see one building on the skyscraper. And the only way to achieve that, when we're definitely going to see 8 on the skyscraper, is to make that a 7. So this would go 7, 2. If, on the other hand, this is 2, then this one, which will be seen, has to hide all the others on the skyscraper. It's right. Okay. So that's a 2, 7, 8 triple, and I can fill in 4, 5, 6 in the column. Okay, I'm now going to do the thing that was suddenly very obvious. 6 is looking at that cell. So I don't know, maybe that doesn't do much else. Oh, look at the beginning of this thermo, though. It is no smaller than 4. This can't be higher than 6, and it can't be 6. So that's fine, because these can't get up above 8. 3, 1, 2. So the rest of these in the column are 6, 7, 8. In this row, this is 6, 7, or 8. Don't know about this yet. 6, 9, 3, 1, 5. Don't know about that. Okay, let's think about this column where the skyscraper number, well, the sandwich is 2, so the skyscraper number is 2. That is a 7 or 8. This must also be higher than the 5, so that is 7 or 8. That's a pair. This is a 3, 4 pair to make up the column. Now in this row, we've only got 2. That's fine this end. This is going to have to be bigger than 4 and bigger than whatever appears here, which must include 3. Can that be a 5? No, there aren't enough low digits to put here. So that's a 3, 5 pair, and this is 6, 7, or 8. And in this row, we've got a sandwich clue of 3. That's been resolved from this end. 8 can't be here, so 8 must be in one of these cells. Because if 8 was there, the skyscraper clue would be a 2. This could be a 7, but because of that, 8 would get pushed to there. That can't be lower than 6, or you'll see that and 6 and 8 and 9. So this is higher than 6, and it's not 8, it's 7. And these are from 2, oh, that makes that 8. That does fix where 8 is, and this is 2 or 4. And that row is sort of as complete as the clues can make it. Now, we've got a 6, 8 pair in column 1. That doesn't fix this stuff. It means 7 is over there. Oh, we've got 8 in this column, in column 2. So we can fill in 2 and 7. That clue definitely works. That fixes 8 and 7 there. This can't be 7. That can't be 8. Oh, but we've got a clue here as well. This can't be 6. Because we've got, no, it could be. We've got a skyscraper clue of 3 to fulfill. It can't be 8, obviously. So that's 6, that's 7, that's 8. And now looking up from here, we see 6, 8, and 9. That's fine. I mean, it's easy when you spot it. 5's in one of those cells, 7, so why did I write 6, you're wondering? 7's in one of those, everything else in the box is 3 or 4. 5, 4, 2, it's odd those aren't done, maybe I'm missing something. 2, 4 pair, no, I don't feel that I am. What's this arrow then? Could be 3 plus 2 equals 5. Oh, this can't be 9, 8, or 7 by Sudoku. It can't be 6 because that would put another 3 on the arrow. And it can't be 4, so it is a fixed arrow, 5, 3, 2. That can't be 5, and we've placed 5 in box 9 there. 9, 1. Ah, that's a 3, 4, 7 triple. Nice. That is a naked single, given that 3, 4, 7 triple. And the rest of the row fills itself in. And the whole of box 7 is now done. That's a 6. This has become a 3. Actually, that was ages ago, just didn't spot it. 4, 7 pair, 3 there. In the bottom row, we've got a 4 and an 8. No, something has gone wrong here. I don't have enough 4s in box 7. Let's go back there. I filled in that 7, and this is then a 4. Sorry. Sorry. Yeah, that is still working. That's a 6. Okay, we're okay. 9 and 8 there. There we go. 2 there is looking up at that. 8 is looking up at that, which finishes the thermo, and that is going to give me the clues I need to disambiguate columns 8 and 9 when I get some potential digits. That's become a 2 to finish its row. 4, 5, 9, 7, 8. We get 2 in box 3, and 6, and then I can fill in 1 and 3. That does 9 and 1. This is a 6, 8 pair. This is a 9, 4 pair. Good job. This is a 7, 6 pair in those cells. What have we got down here? We've got a 1 and a 5. That's a 4, 9 and 7, 8 and 9 are done there. Let's do this row. 1 and 9, 2 and 3. That 3 sees a 5 there. 1 and a 3 in the corner to finish. And I think that is the Crusts building completed. The solution is correct. 112 people have done it. SCOJO is rightly very popular. Oh, but that is in half a year. It's still a goodly number. And again, rightly so. That's a clever puzzle. And yeah, I do like these clues that fulfill 2 functions, but not brilliant at solving them, perhaps. Anyway, let us know how you got on with that. Not that long in the end. I probably shouldn't beat myself up. That's a decent solve, but it's a nice puzzle, and I could wish I'd done it a little better justice. Now, time to go over to Riff Clown on Patreon and have a go at his brilliant line puzzles. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.